was an option on the menu to get soup as a part of a combination platter for not very much money, but it wasn't lobster bisque, and she sullenly did not ask for it. I'm getting crispy chicken and fried rice, Poupette said definitively. Crispy chicken means more fat than lobster bisque, fat ass. Simone was triumphant. Yeah, but I'm not fat. And she wasn't, and Simone wanted to strangle her and shove an entire crispy chicken, oily and boiling hot, into her stupid, pointy face. Well, you have a double chin anyway. It was a weak retort. Poupette didn't even have a double chin. What's a double chin? Dinky had read the phrase, but had never seen a person with two chins. Francois cut through their snipes loudly with, Taisez-vous. They knew it meant shut up, and they knew she almost never said it. You girls will shut your mouths and be nice to each other because tonight is your late father's birthday and you will shut up or I will leave this restaurant and make you walk home. Last year you had cocoas, yes, I know this, and this year you will not. We do not have the luxuries we once had, and I want you to shut your mouths and think about your father because we are here to honor him. The words immediately faded, like steam from a cup of soup, but at the mention of George Glass, they did shut up until they ordered. Francois's face went from red to normal, and by the time the food arrived, Simone ventured a sorry, and Poupette and Dinky muttered it after. They were sorry, after all, and this table felt so much smaller than the other round table. They had fewer places to angrily stare at. It was better to start to eat and to give up the staring and whatever they had been trying to prove. It was easy to give it up once they had finally been asked, and they breathed in the food smells, and they didn't even want to hold on to having a bad time anymore. The waitress brought the food out with silver covers, like a fancy restaurant, and placed each one on the paper plate mats. Poupette poured spicy rooster sauce onto her crispy chicken, partly so no one else would want any. Simone had the fish special, which was served in the exact kind of gelatinous sauce Simone had tried to avoid. It looked like a piece of meat preserved in agar, the gel stuff they'd used in biology class, but it was okay with soy sauce. Dinky ate her crab rangoon slowly, savoring them and trying not to burn her mouth. Simone asked, Can I trade a piece of fish for a rangoon? Dinky smiled and said, I'd touch them all, and the fish looks yucky. Why do you always order the worst thing on the menu? Poupette stuck a piece of chicken in her mouth and made enthusiastic sounds. Very mature. Simone dug at her fish with a fork and ate a piece of parsley. Francois had ordered fried shrimp with fried rice and offered Simone some of hers, but wouldn't touch the fish either. Simone always ordered a different thing here. The fried stuff looked so boring on the menu, but sitting on the table with the fragrant sweet and sour sauce, it looked so much better. Simone said, no thank you, politely to Francois's offer, and trudged on with the gelatinous fish. It might be tolerable with a Coke, but the water she drank just amplified the bland gelatin flavor. The others looked pleased with their food, and they did not talk much until Francois cleaned her fingers with her paper napkin after eating a negligible amount of fried food and said, the word of the day is French. Dinky cut her off and said, it means comes from France, and grinned, but not even Francois laughed. Maladroit. Francois said it maladroit. But what does it say, maladroit? The girls looked at each other. When George Glass did word of the day, they always had English words. Francois had never, ever suggested a French one. Simone's theory was that Francois didn't want to ruin word of the day for George Glass. Because he really liked it. Maybe he never saw all the eye rolls they'd given him. Even Francois used to roll her eyes. George Glass wanted to improve their vocabularies and their respect for the big words he had to use for his academic work. Also, maybe he wanted an excuse to teach Francois the words the girls already knew, like militant or culpable. Maybe he just wanted an excuse to correct Francois's franglaise. He called it franglaise, using the cute word, and then corrected her mercilessly. What does this word want to say? And then there's some French I can't pronounce. George Glass would never have allowed it. And now what was this? But they knew, an attempt to honor him, like this dinner. But how obvious, how fake, how could she, how could they? I think it's maladroit, Poupette said flatly. She said it the American way, with all hard consonants. Maladroit. It's a French word, Poupette, said Dinky eagerly. It's clumsy, right? Maladroit, she said with relish. No, I'm pretty sure it's maladroit. Poupette leaned back in her chair, tilting it back onto two legs. Another thing George Glass would not stand for, would not have stood for. Francois forced a bigger smile than her screensaver one, and looked like she wanted to vomit her meal and use all her blood now occupied with complacent digestion and fight. Fight with her own daughter, fight with flying limbs and hair and teeth. I think, Poupette, that it's a French word used in English. The French way to say it is maladroit. Whatever, said Poupette very quietly, so that even 2 feet away, Simone barely heard it. I know another. Can we have two? Dinky asked. Rendezvous. I know it. Rendezvous. She said it phonetically. Rendezvous. Simone looked at Francois, whose brow was set almost like Poupette's. Poupette was staring at her food. Simone laughed unspontaneously. Then Poupette guffawed, but didn't look up from her plate. It's rendezvous, said Poupette. Ah, rendezvous! Oh, la 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 la, said Francois, and she laughed. And Dinky pouted briefly, but put away the pout because it was so much better to be silly, and she loved the rare oh la la. And anyway, she knew rendezvous meant meeting, and anyway, who cared?